And one of the funny things is that you cannot just start a coffee nursery in Kenya. You have to be licensed for that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey good people, welcome to Wakilisha Podcast. Niko na
Kosi
na mimi Lucheli hapa. Tuko Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. Make sure umeingia pale hivyo ukatusupport. Majamaa mkitusupport tutafika mbali huko juu.
West side. Yo, sleep. Okay, skia. Poor people, fire nation. Blame on youth, poor future, bad reputation.
The coffee industry is big. You can grow and harvest coffee beans. You can do processing. You can do marketing and distribution. You can also sell coffee products in cafes and coffee shops. Our next guest has done all this and is familiar with all corners of the industry. He has certifications in the Kenya National Barista Championship Sensory Judge. He participated in the Kenya National Barista Championship, where he held position 5. He was number 1 in 2023 in the Kenya Cup Testers, that's the cupping, and is also coffee liquor and quality control certified. Welcome to Wakilisha Podcast, episode 8. Kelvin Karuga speaks to us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kelvin Karuga, and I am a third generation farmer. Karibu and welcome to this podcast.
Mr. Kelvin Karuga, welcome to the interview.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Now we start closer home. That is Kenya. And you as a farmer, I think you will give us so much details concerning the industry. Because as we know, you are a farmer, you are a marketer, you are a processor, you are a barista, and also you are very well conversant with the industry at large. Now, my first question to you is, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, March 2024, that's a year ago, there was a total export of 4,291, valued at 3.3 billion shillings. What does that mean to an ordinary farmer in Kenya?
So thank you very much for that. What I would say, according to those figures, it shows there have been fluctuations in the numbers.
Yeah.
At times you realize that the coffee production had been going down.
Yes.
And as farmers now are also starting to cultivate the coffee in other different regions, the numbers are now coming high. And it can be a benefit to the farmers. But now the main challenges remain pricing and sustainability.
Yeah.
By this, what do I mean? In terms of sustainability, it's becoming more expensive to produce coffee because the moment farm inputs are becoming expensive in the market, then it becomes harder for the farmers to cultivate the coffee and increase the volumes. In terms of pricing, very many years, farmers have been struggling with prices, not getting value for money for their products. And those are the major challenges that we as farmers are experiencing.
Yes. So according to these figures, we saw 4.29 metric tons, export only. What about domestic?
For domestic consumption, the numbers are also coming high. We've initially been consuming about 3%. It's now increasing to about 5%, and we are hopeful that number will go higher in the coming future, because now the generations that are coming in, they're starting to appreciate coffee, and it's becoming their day-to-day meeting point, it's one of the beverages there.
It's a culture now.
Yeah, it's becoming a culture.
Okay. All right. Speaking of coffee farming, especially we get to hear the term coffee estate. Please elaborate this for us.
So a coffee estate is basically a dedicated farm focused on growing coffee, and mostly this is often integrated in processing of the coffee at the farm level.
Yeah.
We call this the primary processing stage, and it entails picking of the red ripe cherries, sorting and pulping. Pulping is basically removing the outer skin of the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we pick only the red ripe cherries.
Yes.
After pulping, now depending on what the coffee estate is specialized in, the different processes that happen, whereby there is a washed process, which is the most common in Kenya.
Yeah.
There's a natural process. It's also quite common.
Yeah.
But now with the current trends, now people are changing and they're now appreciating more easier and sustainable ways of processing coffee. So you realize people are doing now anaerobic and carbonic macerations and very many other.
Which I think, sorry for interruption, which I think is coming through because the world is now learning from one another, you know. And now there are new technologies that even are being applied all over the world. So I think those are borrowed technologies to keep up with speed.
Yeah, I think, and that is one of the most interesting part of having a coffee estate, because you're open to experimenting.
Okay.
Yeah, so it becomes easier for you as compared to cooperatives, which is inclusive of very many other farmers who make decisions. But having your own coffee estate, you're able and open to experimenting.
Please take us through the coffee planting process until the coffee cherry is ready for harvesting. You know, most of the people just see coffee like in supermarkets in bags ready or in coffee shop, but people don't know whether, we hear a lot about coffee trees, but we don't know what work it takes to get to the cup.
Yeah.
So just take us through the process from seed through to harvesting.
So coffee begins by selecting the varieties that you want to grow.
Yes.
And it's also dependent on the region that you are trying to grow the coffee.
Yeah.
So we have quite a number of varieties in Kenya. We have Ruiru 11, we have Batian, we have SL28, we have SL34.
Yeah.
And I think now with the support of Coffee Research Institute, they are now starting to come up with different varieties that are sustainable and that are able to resist the pests and diseases over the years. Mm. So we also have a new variety that we are doing in our coffee estate. We did a demo farm and it showed proper yielding, very good quality coffee. It's SL grafted on Ruiru 11.
Okay.
So we realize that SL28 has a very good root system for absorbing nutrients and minerals.
Yeah.
And Ruiru 11 is known for its resistance for pests and diseases. So integrating the two of them made it very easy for us to sustain the farm using less pesticides and also maintaining it. So I think it's one of the best ways to look at in terms of coffee cultivation and when planting coffee.
Okay.
That's where we start.
Yeah.
So on to the next part is where we, after cultivation, you also need to check on spacing, the fertility of the soil.
Okay.
And the maintenance, which basically involves pruning and weeding of the farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these all are just the common practices of agriculture.
Yes.
Like you have to consider all these aspects.
Yes, you have.
But now, how long does it take for coffee seed to germinate. I heard it also goes through nursery. Is that correct?
Yes, and one of the funny things is that you cannot just start a coffee nursery in Kenya. You have to be licensed for that.
Oh, really?
Yes. So coffee is very much regulated in Kenya. From point A of planting the coffee, you need a coffee license to start a coffee nursery.
Yes.
Then if you're planning to be an estate farmer, whereby you own your own pulping station, you also need to be licensed for that.
Oh, okay.
And also there is another stage whereby if you're a coffee estate and you want to market your coffee directly, maybe overseas, you need now to go a step further and get a license for a grower marketer.
So it's
That
so
is
complex.
how much it is regulated.
It's so complex.
It's
yeah.
so complex, yeah.
Is is it an advantage to the farmer, or it's just like the government came through as a regulator?
I think basically it came through as a regulator. To some point, it's an advantage, and to some point also it affects the farmer, because if these institutions that are mandated to license the farmer, if they decide to become a headache, then it becomes very hard for the farmer.
But let's say they become honest in their dealings, and now they are doing things the way they're supposed to be done. And I'll play a devil's advocate now. If the farmer also doesn't want to play games, if everybody has integrity, both the farmer and the regulator, what advantages does the farmer have?
So basically, I think most of these regulations are proper regulations. Like if you're planting a coffee nursery, then when the government comes in as a regulator by providing these licenses, it becomes easier for traceability. Like for instance, if I decide to come and buy coffee from your nursery, there is that traceability that you planted the correct seeds, and I'm getting some good seedlings from someone who can be entrusted.
So that's a guarantee of quality.
Yes.
And value.
Yes.
So it's not like I just get seedlings and I'm going there and now all gets wilted and now I'm at a loss.
Okay, I cannot guarantee you that when you buy coffee from a licensed nursery grower that you not have any issues with your crop.
Yeah.
At times it could be a mistake from your end or a mistake from the nursery owner.
Yeah.
But still, I think what mainly matters here is the traceability.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what I'm picking from you is that it's not very easy to start planting coffee from seeds. Or rather, I have to buy from, you call them trillings or seedlings?
Seedlings. You start from the seeds, basically, but then it's easier when you get the seeds from the CRI, the Coffee Research Institute, so that you have certified seeds.
Yes.
That now, when you're planting them, you're guaranteed of proper germination and a guaranteed variety.
Okay. And so how long does it take if I plant the seeds? How long do they take in the nursery? Then from there, transplanting to the farm. Then how often should I weed them, prune them, pest control, and all this kind of, just the normal husbandry in agriculture. How long does it take for this tree to be ready to harvest?
So I'm not quite conversant on how long it takes to germinate from the nurseries until transplanting point.
Okay.
But what I know is that from transplanting to maturity of that coffee, for you to start harvesting your first crop, that will take you about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But now with the upcoming varieties, it seems they're developing proper and better varieties that are now taking a shorter time to maturity, where you start harvesting your first fruits by 2.5 years or 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until now it reaches climax where you're able to harvest huge amounts of coffee then we'll talk about 3 to 4 years.
But does this quick harvesting, like these varieties that are being harvested quickly, do they guarantee value like the original premium coffee Kenya is known for?
Yes, for sure, because it's not like it's very, very new variety. It's just an integration of the previously known varieties.
Yeah.
For instance, the SL28 and the Ruiru 11.
Mm.
So basically there it's only the root system and the shoot that is changed. So quality-wise, it still remains good. And it's something that we've done a demo farm on. So I can guarantee you that the quality still remains good.
Does Ruiru 11 and SL28 supersede individual quality? Like is Ruiru, the how do you call it when you blend together?
Grafting.
When you graft Ruiru 11 and SL28, does it give better quality than Ruiru 11 on its own and SL28 on its own?
Basically, I think this grafting is mostly to enhance sustainability for the farmers
Okay.
in terms of crop husbandry, maintenance in the farm.
Okay.
So here we are both looking at the yield part and the quality part.
Yeah.
So SL has been known for more premium quality compared to Ruiru 11.
Mhm.
But now integrating both of them and having the SL28 as the root system, now it makes the Ruiru 11 a bit more superior in terms of the bean quality, because it helps in with the absorption of minerals and nutrients from the soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take us through harvesting now.
So in harvesting, it basically involves picking of the ripe cherries.
Yeah.
We basically do this by hand
Yeah.
to make sure only the red ripe cherries are picked, and for quality control. Now from picking, this coffee is sorted,
Yeah.
because at the farm level you will encounter sticks and leaves falling into the basket. So we make sure all these impurities are eliminated.
Yeah.
Then we do same day pulping. Pulping is basically removing of the outer skin. That we make sure is done on the same day to make sure that the quality is maintained. At Gishangi Estate, we do washed processing,
Yeah.
which enhances the flavors and the cup. We get a more enhanced cup with this. So after pulping, we do fermentation. Now, depending on the weather and the temperatures around, that is what determines how long the fermentation will take. But it basically goes for about 36 to 72 hours. So when the temperatures are quite high, it takes a shorter time to ferment. But when the temperatures are low, it takes a longer period of time to ferment.
Okay.
And in this, the fermentation basically is a breaking down of the sugars in the coffee. We call the sugars mucilage. So this is done biologically by bacteria through this fermentation.
Yeah.
So breaking down the mucilage, that takes about those 36 to 72 hours. Then after that, we do washing. During the washing process, this involves pre-grading. At farm level, we do pre-grading, where you will achieve the likes of parchment 1, this parchment 2.
Yeah.
At some point, there's parchment 3 and the lights. This is basically a density control. You use pretty much of a lot of water to check on the density. So the most dense coffee in parchment form, that's the parchment 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second most dense is parchment 2, parchment 3, and the lights.
And how do you distinguish the density, parchment 1, 2, 3?
So at the farm estate, there are washing channels.
Yeah.
So with different levels of gates. So you flush water, lots of water from the entry point
Yeah.
to the end using the gates. So the most dense coffees will remain at the first gate, then followed by the second and the third and the fourth at the end of the washing channel.
I got you.
Yeah.
Back to harvesting. You say at Gishangi, you are hand picking.
Yes.
We all know there's strip picking. Is it available in Kenya?
I am not quite familiar with it. I haven't seen anyone doing that because it has its limitations as well.
Yeah. Is it because I stand to be corrected? I had over 180,000 farmers.
Yeah, there are quite a number of farmers.
Yes. Is it because there are so many farmers, so maybe small scale, so you don't need machines, or it's the geography of our
So most
country?
coffee farmers in Kenya are small scale farmers, and it would not be even economical for most of them to have the machinery, and even in terms of quality control, because using machineries, these will not select. The machines
They
will
go
not
with
select. They will
everything.
take everything down. So
Okay.
we want, as part of the quality control, we want to make sure we are picking only the ripe cherries,
Yeah.
the red ripe cherries. There is a certain percentage of ripeness that is checked. It's something that with technology now, there are different kinds of apparatus that people are using.
Yeah.
It hasn't been made common now, but we expect in future people will be able to embrace it. But by use of eyes and hands, we are able to select the red ripe that to a certain percentage, and yeah.
But that's labor intensive. How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's quite labor intensive. So basically, you need quite
You
a
need
number of
people.
people at the farm,
Which is creating opportunities.
which is
as well.
creating opportunities. Yeah,
It's a good thing.
yeah.
Then after drying your coffee, where do you take it to?
So from the washing, we make sure our coffee is dried to about a moisture content of 10 to 12%.
Yeah.
After that, then the coffee is taken to the coffee mills.
Mm-hmm.
We have quite a number of coffee mills in Kenya right now. From that's where now the coffee is milled and hulled, and the grading is also done there, together with the polishing.
So do you pay them to do that, or you surrender your coffee to them and now business is closed at that point?
So now that's a tricky part, and that is what some of the farmers now don't know, because if you look at the cooperatives,
Yeah.
the farmer's involvement is up to the cherry correction point. Now from there, most of the farmers do not understand what happens beyond there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but as an estate farmer, we are able now to control whatever happens beyond cherry, beyond parchment, because when your coffee is being milled, you can request the coffee miller to have you present, and you can witness the whole process.
Okay.
Yes. So what happens as a coffee estate, if you're licensed as a grower marketer and you already have a person that is willing to buy your coffee directly, you don't need a marketer for your coffee. You're a marketer by yourself. So the negotiation happens between you and the buyer, and you're able to have your coffee milled, and you will present it to your buyer depending on the agreement you have in terms of logistics and other factors involved. Similarly, there is a point that comes, and maybe as a coffee estate, you're not able to produce enough quantities for like individual direct sales. So you might decide to seek a third-party service of going into a contract with a coffee marketer. The coffee marketer will present your coffee at the auction, and then from there, you can witness whatever happens at the auction. Auctions only happen on Tuesdays of the week, every Tuesday of the week in Kenya.
Okay.
You can track whatever happens there using the Nairobi Coffee Exchange website, and you can see how your coffee is being sold.
Okay, back to the cooperatives. This farmer who surrenders the cherries and he goes back to his farm because now his business ends there, does he get value for his coffee?
I think sometimes they're not able to get value for their coffee or value for their money, because we have had very many issues with management of societies.
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult for the farmer if they are not able to trace what happens to their coffee beyond cherry correction.
Yeah.
Starting from the factories themselves, how they are managing the coffee. Because if you don't manage your coffee well at the processing, from pulping and the washing and all that, then it means your coffee starts to degrade from there.
Okay.
So if the factory presents poorly processed coffee, it means then the farmer will fetch very few coins or shillings for their
From
coffee. Yeah, they will not get value for their money.
Okay. Do we do decaffeination in Kenya?
No, we don't. We are currently not doing decaffeination in Kenya. The most common place doing decaffeination is Germany.
Germany, yeah.
Yes.
And what are the processes?
So we have quite a number of processes. One, there is the carbon dioxide method.
Yeah.
There is a solvent method.
Yeah.
And there's also the Swiss water method.
Yeah.
All these are used basically to decaffeinate the coffee. And the most common one is the Swiss water method.
Does it mean it's more pocket friendly than the others?
I think so. I'm not quite sure about it.
It must be, yeah.
Yeah.
Back to sales of coffee. I understand there is the auction. You mentioned that before.
Yes.
Then the direct sale.
Yes.
And how do you choose where to sell, how to sell your coffee? Whether be it auctioning or be it direct sale?
So for the auction system, it's one of the traditional and most common ways that farmers are using to market their coffee, and even societies. This is where you present your coffee to the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. Okay. It has its advantages and disadvantages as well, because one of the advantages of this is very many coffee buyers come together and they'll bid for the best coffees. So the better coffee you have, the more money you're probably going to get. Yeah. And one of the disadvantages is if the market price, or if there is the supply of coffee is too much, it means then the buyer is able to buy coffee at even a very low price.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there is oversupply of coffee at the auction, then it means you get very low prices.
Mr. Karuga,
Yes.
switching gears now. We were discussing a few days ago about tea, and I understand Gashagi Estate is also dealing in tea production. How does it compare to coffee production?
So tea production is also quite labor intensive, because this is a crop that you need attention every other day or every other week.
Yeah.
Tea is harvested mainly. For tea, we harvest the 2 leaves and a bud. And you have to monitor it every week.
Every week.
If the weather is very good, if the weather is wet, then you're guaranteed of proper production and heavy production. So if you assume and you're not able to pick tea on the right time, then it means you're going to lose, because it might overgrow. So it's also quite labor intensive. And if you do not have like specific people who come to harvest your tea, then it can be a headache.
So do you plant your tea and process it as well, or
no?
The chain follows is similar to coffee.
It's also quite a process.
Yeah.
Almost similar to coffee. I have been lucky to visit a tea factory before. So what basically happens when we harvest the tea?
Yeah.
We present it to a tea buying center, and from there the quality is checked. That's where the quality assessment starts.
Yeah.
There are clerks who come around checking. It's mostly manned by the KTDA. They assess the quality of the tea. They make sure that you only harvest the 2 leaves and a bud. That is a quality control for Kenyan tea.
So the 2 leaves and a bud, that's the correct quality?
That's the correct quality, and that's the right way to harvest tea.
Oh, okay.
So from the correction, it's taken to the factory. It's also a one-day affair. So you cannot harvest tea today and present it to the factory or tea buying center the following day. It's a very perishable crop.
Yeah.
And it's a very delicate crop as well. So the quality is also determined from the picking. So from presentation to the factory, the tea is withered. And depending on the processing method, there are different ways of processing tea as well. There is a CTC method, cull, cut, and tear. Cull, tear, and cut. There is the orthodox method, where the tea is just basically rolled. It's quite an interesting process.
Speaking of the interesting process,
Yes.
now my next question is, we in Kenya, everybody knows black tea. Black tea is also known as red tea. That's in Asia and China. Some of us know about green tea, but I understand there are other teas.
Yes.
Please shed some light on that.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I was very fascinated to see at the coffee. At the tea factory.
Yeah.
There are quite a number.
Yeah.
Basically, for the CTC, it's black tea. But then on the orthodox section, there is green tea. There is purple tea. There is oolong tea. There is white tea. There is golden tea. There is yellow tea. And
all coming from these two leaves and a bud.
Yes. The only difference is the oxidation levels.
And what is oxidation?
So oxidation, I really don't know much details on the tea part, on how they oxidize it and everything. But basically, I think from the word itself is how long they are exposed to oxygen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But what I know is that green tea is just dried as it is. It's not oxidized. But the level of oxidation is what determines the tea.
Which one comes first in that chain of there's black tea, yellow tea, white tea, red? Red tea is the black tea, green tea, and the others you mentioned.
So the most common tea, and especially in Kenya, is the CTC, which is also known as cull, tea, and cut. Basically, that's the process the tea undergoes. Yeah. This is the tea that most people have them in their households for any regular tea. Yes. So what happens is when we present the tea to the tea buying centers, where we harvest only the two buds and a leaf, two leaves and a bud, the quality assessment is done from that point. Now, presenting them to the tea factory, the tea is withered. There are different ways they do the withering to reduce the moisture content. Okay. And then whatever is withered is taken to machines. It's culled, and then it's teared completely and cut. Then it's fermented. Now, from fermenting, it's taken into the roasters that are mostly dry steam operated. So this is where the tea now turns from green to black. And there is involvement of oxidation in between. So that's the basic and the most common tea that everyone knows, which also has different grades. Now, for these other teas like green tea, oolong tea, white tea, yellow tea, these are mostly known as orthodox teas. Yeah. And whatever determines the type of tea mostly is the oxidation levels. For teas like golden tea and white tea, sometimes there are different species of teas that are grown specifically for this kind of orthodox tea. Like the purple tea also, it's also purple from the farm.
So what's the difference? Like, I heard it before about even the green tea. Green tea or matcha tea, that it's just special tea. It's not like regular tea.
Yeah, for matcha tea, it's not very common in our country. I think it's from Japan. But for tea like green tea, I think it's just a basic tea that we also use for black tea. But for white tea, there is a special species that is used for white tea specifically, and maybe the golden tea.
Okay.
But for oolong, it's the oxidation levels that matter.
In 2023, you are eyeing the World Barista Championship. And in that, you had to participate in the National Barista, also known as Kenya National Barista Championship. You came out number 5. That was impressive.
Thank you.
How was the feeling?
Honestly, being the first time competing in the national levels, it
Yeah.
was a happy moment for me,
Yeah.
and also a very intense, very intense moment also.
Yeah.
It wasn't very easy, but we thank God I was able to achieve whatever I was able to achieve, and also got quite of an exposure during
Yeah.
the competitions. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you very much.
You are also a judge in the KNBC, the same competition that you competed. Was that before or after?
That was actually before.
Before you
I
participated?
was able to judge it before, so it was a very also interesting moment. I have a background in sensory skills. I am a certified coffee expert, or also known as coffee rikara in Kenya.
Yeah.
And being able to judge the coffee was a very interesting moment for me, because I was able now to see the intensity and appreciate the coffee culture in our country, and how the young baristas were able to
present their things. Yeah.
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 It was an interesting moment for me.
Being a judge opposed to being a competitor?
Honestly, I think it's easier being a competitor than a judge.
Oh, really? And why so?
Being a judge, I think, and having this competition as a whole day affair, you take so many espressos. You can imagine you're supposed to taste all the 3 beverages that these competitors give:
The espresso,
the espresso, the milk
milk-based,
beverage,
and
the
signature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's quite an intense moment, because you have to taste all these coffees. Yes.
Then after that, you made a decision to do your thing internationally. You came here in Kuwait. How has the experience been
So
for you?
it's been quite an interesting experience. I have loved the exposure so far. I have been able to interact with different coffee brewing methods, different coffee cultures, and I think there's still so much more to learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your point of view on the specialty coffee? What do you think you have gained from it?
So being in the specialty coffee industry, which mostly entails on the precision of the advanced tools being used and coffee from different origins, I think it's helped me appreciate coffee more.
Yeah.
And in terms of even the uptake and consumption of the coffee itself, it's helped me gain better experience and understanding of coffee in depth.
Speaking of coffee from different origins, this even means coffee from different roasters.
Yes.
And we understand roaster always writes down tasting notes on the packet. Do you agree with the notes all the time?
So whatever is indicated on roasters' profiles, I think we cannot solely depend on that.
Yeah.
We all have different tasting palettes. Yeah. And also the exposure of the notes is also determined by, like, for instance, if a roaster decides to write an elder fruit on the packaging, you probably haven't come across an elder fruit before. So
very true.
This is not cast on stone. I think what the roaster writes there is it's upon them, but you as a barista should determine what you feel depending on what you have been exposed to before. You might have been exposed to bananas or pomegranates or guava, and that's what you feel in the coffee. Unlike the roaster who is maybe exposed to other exotic fruits that you haven't been exposed to.
It's been very educative session, and I know very many people will learn from this, not only baristas, people in the industry, even the consumers at the end of the chain, people who've been curious about the journey of coffee. They've gotten it from the maestro himself. So, given an opportunity, tell us about your product, Geshangi products, and where somebody can get them.
And I think from this session, you learn something. I'm also still learning. And I know there are bigger things and better things coming. Watch out for this space. We will be launching new products with time, and better products as well. At Geshangi Estate, we do value addition as well. We roast our own coffee, branded under Stevens Coffee. You'll find our products on social media. We have the contacts there. We have a small packet as 10 grams, where we mostly serve them. We mostly sell them in kiosks, and to wholesale buyers. Those who are willing to buy for resale, they can buy. We are also into the Horeca business, hotels, restaurants, and catering. So anyone with restaurants and they would like to buy coffee beans from us, they are also very much welcome. Check us on social medias at Stevens Coffee. We can discuss and have our coffees delivered for your use in your roasteries and your coffee shops.
Your parting shot?
It's been a very interactive session.
Mm-hmm.
What I would basically encourage those people joining the coffee industry, either as farmers, baristas, or any other level of the coffee industry, I think let's try to embrace this crop. It's known as the golden, it's a golden crop. And the only way we'll maybe increase the domestic consumption is by educating each other and learning to appreciate and consume our own products.
You heard it from him. Let's support and consume our own products. Kelvin Karuga, thank you so much for coming. That's the time we had. Asante sana. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will catch you in the next one.